well did the year of return go? What are your reflections on that?
Okay, first of all, you know, you must know this already. CNN did a big cover of the year of return, and it appeared in various outlets. So there was quite a bit of buzz. And of course, informal circuits and so on. More importantly, in more practical logistical terms, I read somewhere that the Ghana missions worldwide issued 700,000 visas.
Wow.
In 2019, up from 70,000.
A tenfold increase.
Tenfold increase.
Wow.
And
in 2019.
2019. And I was saying 2019, and the city, the country was teeming with foreigners. Like teeming, it was unbelievable. And also the programming was actually quite good. They did, you know, these big youth festivals, Afrochella and various of them. They flew in musicians from all over the place. I think the platform that was created for moving forward was really good. One thing that we mustn't forget, though, is that this is not the first time that Ghana has promoted a diaspora discourse. In the early 90s, we also had Panafest. Yeah, and Panafest actually put Ghana on the map in terms of its diaspora. Many big Run DMC, I think, was here. Many big musicians came to Ghana under the auspices of Panafest. For some reason, the Panafest experiment fizzled out. It didn't deliver what it could have, even though there was a lot of interest worldwide in what this annual festival, and one of the things that they did at Panafest was a ritual pouring of libation at the castle, like welcoming the people who had returned from the diaspora. So Panafest, in other words, we need to go back to learn from the Panafest experiment and see why Panafest did not deliver what it clearly had the potential to deliver. So this is just to say that the potential is there, the platform has been established. It's a shame that COVID came to undermine it, but we mustn't sever ourselves from our history of the same experiment.
Some people know that tourism is a big thing, right? Somehow the East Africans seem to attract more tourists because of the places and the way they've marketed it. We're hoping that post year of return, we would use that bump to develop. I mean, recently we were just discussing on air how a lot of our tourist sites, in fact, the hotels are struggling. People say our hotels are more expensive than our hotels, but essentially they are not getting the visits, COVID partly, but also because the tourist sites haven't been properly developed. So it looks like for us, our advantage is more the historical than the leisure site viewing.
Well, there are things that we can develop. For example, there are Europeans and also Africans abroad who pay a lot of money just to walk in the bush.
Really?
Yeah. There are trails. You know, if you went to, there's some parts of the United States where all you do is walk. They call it hiking. You hike through jungle or you hike through mountains and so on. But these have to be clearly demarcated. The paths have to be, they have to have guides and so on. People will pay money because it's also a kind of being close to the natural environment. We have lots of potential hikes in this country. It has to be mapped. We all need to, they have to be special, when I say mapped, I mean geographical maps, where if you want to go on a 5-mile hike, this is what you have. Cycling paths can be developed. So the potential is there. What we normally drives our tourism is the leisure hotel in certain sites, you know, so you have waterfalls and so on and so forth. The other part which I think is grossly underdeveloped is historical stories about our cities. Of course, I'm an urban scholar.
Historical stories about
our cities. Accra is full of history.
Wow.
It is unbelievably, it's so rich, it boggles the mind. Let me give you, I mean, you've heard me speak on this many times. Let me give you just 2 examples. Holy Trinity Cathedral,
yes, High Street.
High Street, was completed in 1894.
Wow.
And in fact, apparently, and this is a story that they tell about the church, the material for the church, for some reason, the church that is built here was supposed to be have been built in a town in Canada. So the material, for reasons that are not easily explained, the material crossed paths, and the
Canada materials
came here, and the church is a thing of wonders, an architectural masterpiece. What people don't know is that from 1894, when it was built, until well into the 1920s, the church services were segregated.
White, black.
White, yes. The white people sat somewhere because the Anglican Church was the official church of the government, of the colonial government. And so the director of public sanitation, housing...
Possibly the governor.
Not possibly, the governor.
They all go to that church.
They all go to that particular church. And they sat in segregated pews.
Amazing.
The question is, at what point were the pews desegregated? This is a fascinating history. So it's not just the history of the architecture, but the history of the social forms. The other thing that I'm curious about, and I haven't been able to find an answer to this, is when the church was built in 1894, it was built some distance away from Jamestown itself. It's walking distance, but it's quite a distance. And Jamestown itself at the time was buzzing with commerce because the harbor, all kinds of things were being imported and exported from there. But the fishing community was generally traditional religionist because Christianity hadn't seeped in. The Basel missionaries were doing things there.
Around Osu and coming close.
But when they chose to situate the Anglican Church there, what was their relationship to the ordinary people? These are questions that we need to... So on a tour of Accra, we mustn't just talk about the Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum and the Independence Arch. There are lots of things. And don't get me started on
which does not necessarily require a lot of money, because one of the concerns we have is we don't have artifacts. I mean, when you do a tour of any part of the country, you go to the castles, there's nothing.
Yeah.
It's just empty rooms.
Yeah.
I mean,
we don't have artifacts here.
Is it that we don't have... I mean, if you go to even most advanced countries, so you will see a lot of the things that...
South Africa, don't go to advanced countries.
Even Namibia.
South Africa,
There's a whole thing on Sam Nujoma and the whole... But we don't see, why? Is it that we don't have money or we don't...
Well, I don't know whether we don't have money or not, but I think it's a shame that like Cape Coast Castle and Elmina Castle, they show you the residence of the governor of the castle and it's empty. And they say, oh, he slept here. What bed did he sleep on? And these objects are available. There are shops that have kept 16th, 17th century bookcases and so on. Not even the cooking utensils. You know, what did they cook in when they said they cooked them? So the castles are voided of an aspect of their history. So they try to populate the castles, the tours that we go, with the history of the bodies that were transferred through. But we don't have the material history of the place. There's no history of the material objects. Yeah, and that it's possible to populate.